Hey guys, welcome to a fresh episode of Carlton People ahead of the 2024 AFL season. I've got Callan with me. Callan is an actual blue abroad as we film this. Cal, mate, hello and welcome.
Thank you. Yes, the abroad does sound a bit weird now. It's the actual abroad title, but no, it's good to be on.
It's good to have you. Where are you stationed? Let us know.
I'm in Las Vegas at the moment, currently studying abroad for a semester here in Las Vegas. I'll be back in about May, which I've been looking at the fixture. It's about round 10, round 11. I'll be back in Melbourne, sort of right at getting towards that point of the season.
Yeah, you come back for the most important part. I like it. What are you studying?
Sports media. So I'm looking to become a journalist down the track. Wherever that takes me, I'm keeping it pretty open at the moment, but yeah, sports media is the realm I want to end up in.
Love that. Well, we might touch on that a little later. I want to start off with you and your Carlton story, really. So, how did you become a supporter? What's your journey?
Dad's my biggest sort of Carlton supporter. I attribute anything that I've known to football to him. He just continuously talks about all the glory days before I was born that I haven't quite been able to see, but he's been taking me to footy as early as I can remember. My earliest memory is probably, I don't remember it, but he would apparently, when I was only a couple months old, be watching Fox footy at 4 a.m. when I'm not going to sleep, and Dad would be the one to wake me up and be watching the footy with him. But yeah, that's sort of what I attribute all my Carlton journey towards.
He's a good man. He must be a good man. He's. I feel like. I mean, I don't have kids. You don't have kids, but I feel like one day, if and when we do, it's almost like a duty as a parent. You got to make sure the tradition stays alive.
Exactly right. It's got to run for the family.
Yeah. So you touched on your earliest memory. What's your earliest memory of like going to a game? Do you have any obscure memories? Sometimes you got like a random passage of play that comes into your mind. Do you have anything like that?
Well, my earliest memory was, I think it was 2009 when Fev hit the post against Hawthorn. It would have been 4 or 5 points down. Yeah, at the MCG, everyone had thought he'd kicked it. He'd hit the post. I would have been 4 or 5 at the time, and I can't see over the people in front of me, so I've stood on the chair to see over them. And no one called him Brendan. Everyone called him Fev at the time. And I've slapped my chair and gone, "Oh, Brendan!" Everyone around me just started pissing themselves. It was, Brendan they'd never heard of, but that was from my first memory. An obscure one was, it would have been 2013 or 14 when against West Coast at Etihad at the time. We were down 5 goals or something with 6 or 7 minutes left. Ultimately came back and win the game, but that one passage where I think it was like Murph was running down the wing and then ultimately kicked it up to Troy Menzel, who kicked the goal to eventually put us in front. I was on that wing just like watching it happen right in front of me. That was awesome.
I like that you brought that one up. That you're the first one to bring that up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for some reason, all I can remember is Eddie Maguire doing the commentary.
Yes, exactly the one.
Yeah. And so what's the journey of being a Carlton supporter been like for you? Like, how do you summarize it? I mean, to be honest, it's really good to be able to ask someone a question like this now that we've seen a little bit of positivity. So how do you summarize what you've seen up until this point in your life?
You mentioned the positivity now, but growing up, it was tough. For all of us, it was tough. Like going through high school, I wouldn't hear the end of it every single day. It was, Carlton are rubbish. Carlton just can't win a game. But that was how it was. Didn't really know anything like from memory of when we were good. Now that we're, all my mates' teams sort of towards the bottom of the ladder and we're the ones pushing up, it's sort of rubbing it back in their face. But it's, up until now, it's sort of been like this season been like a relief to finally be premiership contenders, call it. It's been, we're up there finally. Yeah, relief, finally, those terms are sort of what come to mind.
I remember not long ago, because it wasn't long ago, just thinking these irrational thoughts like, wow, are we just a club that won't be able to figure it out. Such was how much they just weren't able to step over the line and get the job done. Did you ever feel like we were just destined to watch disappointment forever?
Yeah, there was one point I remember. Another story. With the footy with my brother and my dad, it was a Fremantle game, and we were goalless at halftime. And my brother turns to my dad and he goes, "Why do we support Carlton?" He had seen enough, and he was only like probably 9 or 10 at the time, so we didn't really know anything better. But it got to such a low point that we were all almost fed up and a mix of just accepting it. Like this is just how footy is. Thankfully, that's not the case, but it was exactly like that.
Yeah. What do you think was the key to the turnaround? Was it just a combination of lessons, or what do you think?
I think the list development, although it took several years, has finally come together. I think maturity has been a big part of it as well. You've had to say in the toughest days to get the best ones. So I think a mix of those two, and finally we have the coach as well that is proven and capable of winning big games. With no disrespect to the past coaches, but they haven't had quite that winning sort of knack about them. We've obviously clearly got premierships written all over him. So it's good to have a coach that knows how to win and a team now that knows how to win as well.
You know what I found with Vossi in particular, and something I've learned about the coaches who have become great, I feel like it's less about their ability to and how they handle themselves when things go well, but it's how they hold their nerve when things aren't going well. How did you, it's been 2 years with Vossi. How have you summarized his ability to handle the pressure? Because Carlton, let's be honest, it's giant club, giant expectation, fan base, external media love talking about us. The pressure is more than a normal club. So how do you view his ability to, and I guess the club's ability to handle pressure now?
I think that's sort of, from a player's standpoint first, it's engraved in them. They sort of come into the club and the expectation is you're going to have to perform on the big stage. Vossi, I feel like in that first season, it took him a little bit to adjust to that. We saw it more so in 23, how like when we were down in the dumps, would have been several goals down at one point, but just his ability to just switch on the playing group and turn those, because we would have conceded 5-6 goals in a run back in 2020, 2021, and the game was done at that point. But Vossi, he knows how to deal with those sort of situations, that sort of maturity that I was alluding to, and can just put a cheap goal in there that'll stop that run. Then he can get the game back on his terms, on our terms, and game goes from there.
You mentioned dad, you mentioned the family ties. What does game day look like for you? You going with the family, or what's set the scene?
Dad loves going in early. Every single game, he's there probably an hour and a half before the bounce to have a
understand.
And also, I love it as well because I sort of pick that up. I sort of go an hour early, and then when I go with just my mates, they go, "Why do you want to go an hour early? Like game's still, ages away." I'm like, "No, I just want to get there and just be in the stadium, even if I'm not, having a beer pre-game. I'm in the seat, just looking at the ground, just trying to take it in." So we'll be let's just sitting in the seats for an hour and a half, sort of watching the warm-up, seeing who's might have in for a big day. Game happens, that's pretty straightforward, and then depending on the result, if we win, we're still there another hour post-game, and if we lose, we never leave early. That's one rule we've sort of promised ourselves: never leave early, even when it got really bad a few years ago. But if we lose, it's sort of straight home on the train. It's a pretty short train ride home. We're talking footy right until we, go to bed that night. It's, what could we have done? What did we do? Right the way home.
How good is it? It's actually the best.
Take the whole day. The whole day of footy, and it's awesome.
Yeah. No, I could totally relate to getting there early. I literally like to get there minimum 1 hour before bounce, minimum. Just something about, you actually said it perfectly, just sitting in your seat, I don't know, something about smelling the air, looking around, watching the crowd slowly build. I don't know if you play fantasy or anything like that, just checking everything. I think watching the guys come out and take shots on goal, could not relate to that anymore. That is very well summed up. I don't know, like I think it's such a beautiful sport, and I think we hate the off season because it's so long, but at the same time, I think that's what makes us love the sport as much, because we get a nice, solid break away from it.
I've been trying to introduce the sport to some people here. That the first question they always ask when I'll be watching, just last season's highlights on one of the computers, and they go, "Is that rugby?" I go, "No, it's not rugby." The way I explain it to people here is just every ball sport you can imagine just smashed into one.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way I can describe it without fully going in depth, because they probably won't have the time or care that much. But a few of them have said that they're going to watch a couple games, and I've told them to watch the Blues. But yeah, you sort of phrased it well. It's why why the sport's so good, why we love it. It's just like there's a different sort of atmosphere on game days. You sort of mentioned like the pre-game warm-up. So it's why we love it.
Mm. Let's talk a little bit about your time as to where you are. I like that you've taken the leap. Sports media is the vision. You're in a really interesting point in time when it comes to sports media in particular, given the landscape seems to have changed so much in 5 years' time. I remember when I got out of high school, there was no sports YouTube channels or anything like that, or podcasts where anyone could sort of start one. How do you view the industry holistically?
It's a pretty small industry, and there's not that there's not many opportunities, but there are. It's a small industry, and you have to A, sort of time it, and B, you got to know your stuff to do what you do what every other sort of footy YouTube, TV channel, radio, or what they're doing. So, and you're right, it has changed a lot. Like from when my old man was growing up, it was all radio, it was all a bit of TV as well. But now there's so. I said the industry was so small, but there's so much variety, if that sort of makes sense, in what you can do. So personally, I'm keeping it pretty open right now. I don't really know what I think. I want to be sort of like a broadcaster, presenter, that sort of thing, just talking about football. But yeah, I'm not saying not going to do anything else. I just want to be at games, talking football to the people, and just bring the game to them.
Yeah. I've done a couple of these episodes with people who grew up in the 70s, 60s, and just hearing them talk about concepts that are so foreign to both of us. Like only one day a week they'd show every game, or one game a week. Sorry, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on a Saturday, and Carlton were pretty popular, so they generally got showed. And then there's people who, you could only tune into the radio. And then there's people who, like, living overseas, had to wait for people to mail them newspaper clippings about the game so they could know, because there was no social media or internet to check. It's just wild. And I think having done those episodes has given me a bit of context as to what we have. Like, we have so much access. I think we still want more. I think the industry still wants the game to open up a little bit more to the fans, but when you really think about it, like, we've never had more access to the game than what we do now.
100%. Like, as you're saying, there's so many platforms where we can either watch it or just listen or watch something back or read it. There's so many options where we can consume footy. Over here, it's obviously a bit limited. I've got to use a VPN to watch any sort of footy content that I want.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I've got to purchase a VPN purely to watch footy when it comes on. So, and the games are on at terrible times as well. So our Brisbane game's on at 12:30 in the morning. So that's not
in the morning. Wow.
So that's not a great one. And I've been look at the fixture, and we've got Collingwood and Melbourne in back-to-back weeks at 2:30 in the morning. So, but it'll be worth it. It's all part of it.
It is all part of it. It is all part of the grind of being a supporter. And And I think those will end up being the good memories for you one day, and you'll look back and you'll say, "I remember when I used to wake up at midnight to watch a game, and then tune into all the post game and read all the articles." And yeah,
100%. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now, but when I get to it, I'll probably go like, "Why am I doing it at 3 a.m? Like, why am I doing this?" Probably got class to do that day, and I'm up at 4 a.m. watching my team.
you're a man on a mission.
Yeah.
So 2024, let's talk a bit about what's to come. How are you feeling about the upcoming season?
Good, very good. It's sort of hard not to get excited about what we saw last year. It's hard not to get excited about what is on the cards for this year. I think everyone's in their prime. Vossi's had 2 years now to get used to the old guys and new guys. What works, what doesn't. Everything's sort of just finally coming together, and it's excited. It's hard to not see us towards the top end. What that could result. Not going to go that far, but it's exciting to know that we are going to be good. Hopefully, going to be good this year.
Yeah. I think I've battled with the conversation in my mind over the off season about, are they going to potentially unintentionally allow some complacency to kick in, and will they start thinking like, oh, we've made a prelim, we're going okay, and that's generally the most dangerous time, because that's you take 3% off your game and that's it. Other teams will pass you. Or will they have a taste of what it is and realize how close they actually got in their first try at finals? And will that motivate them to be better? I definitely like to think the latter. And I think you did mention Vossi in a really good way. I mean, he knows what it's about. So I feel like if anyone, and he came from his playing career where, Brisbane were not good at all.
Yeah.
And then he rode that all the way up. So I feel like the right people are in place to keep the mentality and keep the culture where it needs to be. And if that's the case, surely we're about to see like 5 years of like contending football,
I was going to say, like, our team that we've got now, no one's going to be retiring for the next 5 years. Like, our oldest player that we put on the field every week's Nick Newman, I think, off the top of my head, is 30, 31.
Yeah.
And he's got plenty of years left in him. Like, he's playing his best footy at the moment. Same as Doc. I think he's one of our old, and he's 29, 30. So, like, the team that we've got now won't really change that much for years. And that this is our real premiership window for 5 years, as you were talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I haven't done any predictions yet during these episodes, but given that we're so close to the year, I might fire a few at you and just sort of see where your head's at with some questions. I have not prepared you for this, so straight off the cuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about who you think will be the best and fairest winner.
The best and fairest. I'm going to go Sam Walsh. I was going to go someone else, but I think Walshy's just set for a massive, massive year. Huge year. I'm really excited about what he can do. His finals was unbelievable. He did win the finals MVP, didn't he? Yeah.
He did, yeah. The Gary Ayres medal.
Gary Ayres, that's the one. From 3 games, which is crazy. But I'm really looking forward to what he can do this year.
Can you believe he's in year 6?
It feels like it should be, in the twilight of his career, the way he's been playing. But he's 23, year 6, as you said. It, like, 10 plus years of him in the team is just beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a BNF. Number of wins?
Oh, number of wins.
I believe it was 13 and a half last year. Is that
13,
right?
Yeah, 13 and a half. I'll say 16.
Nice.
16 or 17, yeah. So we'll go 16 and 17.
That kind of puts us like 4th to 6th-ish.
Yeah, about that mark, maybe.
3rd to 6th? Yeah.
4, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Most improved?
Most improved. So Jesse Motlop was the first one that came to mind.
Love it.
Not that he had like a bad year, but like I feel like he's the next very capable damaging small forward in the comp. Like, I'm really excited about what he does, and he's only played a couple of years, so, and he's already making an impact. If we can get 30, maybe 40 goals out of him, that's huge.
Wow, that puts us right up there, because I think that's one of the questions of the year. You know, we know what we're going to get from Charlie. We know what we're going to get from Harry, more or less. And there's just that need for whoever that third key goal kicker is, unless it's just an even spread. But yeah, I think Jesse's got this. He's got the package, doesn't he? He's got the ability. Just got to get the pre-seasons into him and get the experience into him, and you just get the feeling there's a quantum leap coming, whether it's this year or next year. It's on the way.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one thing we've sort of lacked in the past few years is like a small forward with a bit of flair.
Yeah.
The last one we've had was Eddie, but Jesse Motlop looks like sort of that next sort of player to take that step up.
Yeah, I like that. Storyline of the year that you will be following closely, Carlton related.
Ooh. I really want to see what Orazio does this year. He's sort of someone that really intrigues me. I have got him in our best 22 probably to start the year. I think he's sort of got that bit more experience than some of the other guys. But he's sort of one that I feel like we've picked him up after being delisted. Easily could have written his career off. We've given him a chance. If he can string several games together, several goals, I feel like his story could be really, really impactful.
Yeah, definitely. He's got all the ability.
Yeah.
He's kicked bags in finals.
Yeah. He's got that experience.
Yeah, it has the potential to be one of the steals of, when it comes to recruitment. Really, the only thing that I feel like it's determined by is whether he's able to stay on the park. Because I feel like if he's available, he'll play. He's that good.
Yeah, there's no sort of denying that he is far capable of changing games and winning games himself. It's just the injury concern he's had over the past few years, but trust our fitness stuff to get him on the park, get him playing and winning games. Absolutely.
I want to ask you about the club as a whole. I mean, there's something about Carlton that just brings out a heightened level of care and passion in the supporters. What is it about the club that, in your view, that gets us so invested? Like, why do we care?
I think a lot of the loyalty has come from partially because of how tough the past few years have been. Everyone's sort of unified in that sense. We all went through the tough stages together, and we're now riding the beginning of the high together, and we're all craving success. I think, because we were so poor for so long, we sort of stuck fat. Some people, they had seen enough. We saw it in the middle of last year. Then the turnaround, and everyone is just so excited, so hopeful that we're all just coming together. We're packing out the MCG, 80,000 plus on the big games. I think we're all Carlton fans are ready for a big year.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. We're ready to lose our marbles again. That's for sure. And final question, which year will it be? When are we lifting up the next Premiership Cup?
24, this year. Go for
this
it.
Year.
This year.
So good. Literally 12 months ago doing these before the season had started, it started to push back out to 25, 26, 27, and now we've started to see it come back.
24.
God, can you imagine? You come home, May.
I cannot even begin to imagine what grand final day alone would look like. And we got so close, a few months ago. But I remember in the prelim, we started so well. I'm going like, I didn't know what to do. I was just sort of looking at Dad going, like, is next week actually like on the cards? Can we actually do this? Obviously, Brisbane did what they did, but like to know that was even a possibility was just the concept of it was insane.
A great way to explain it.
Yeah,
true, because Yeah, you throw it out there every year. Oh, maybe we'll win the flag. Can we do it? Can we not? And then it got to that point where you're like, holy shit, we're
It's
already
close.
at the granny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, we're not far at all. And then Brisbane was always going to be tough, but I put it in a way of like, if you're 5 goals up, you should never lose.
Yeah.
And in that sense, we should not have lost. We should have been in the grand final. But it was always going to be tough beating the Lions up there. Hadn't lost all year. So
Yeah, exactly right. Awesome, mate. This has been really good. Thank you so much for making the time to record this. I'm looking forward to following along with your journey, and hopefully we see you around on the channel after games.
yeah, I'll be up. I'll be up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I'll be
Love it,
around.
man. Go Blues.
Go Blues.